It's time for the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games at Southern Utah University in Cedar City. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of a Utah sports tradition at utahsummergames.org. Participate in over 50 sports around the state. Then plan to join the opening ceremonies Friday, June 5th, presented by State Bank of Southern Utah. Register today to participate in the 40th anniversary season of the Larry H. Miller Utah Summer Games. Looking for music that lifts your spirit and fills your heart? Experience the powerful sound of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square. Now streaming on all your favorite music platforms. Find the Tabernacle Choir on Spotify, Apple Music, YouTube, Amazon Music, and Pandora. Let the music of the Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square inspire you today and every day. Whether you're at home, in the car, or on the go, enjoy the beauty of their world-renowned sound anytime. The Tabernacle Choir at Temple Square, streaming now.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, and Kyle Whittingham is back in the news. He's always been a good quote, PK. He'll say stuff, and he's saying stuff again. He says $50 million college football rosters will occur in the 2027 recruiting cycle. Say goodbye to that $20 million cap other people were talking about. That's not happening. Just blowing right through that. Just read a thing that college basketball is headed for $20 million rosters and college football for $50 million rosters. So there's going to be schools spending $70,000. Not to mention a bunch who can't quite keep up, but it'll be close at 50 or 60 million, whatever.
Yeah.
So what is the breaking point? Bum, bum, bum. Ryan says, I don't know, but sooner is better. Get this thing figured out and level the playing field. I don't think you and I believe that's going to happen, do we?
Has the playing field ever been leveled?
No.
The answer to that is no, it is not.
So why level it now?
It's not about to get level either.
I was going to say it's never been level and never will be level.
Right,
but okay.
So why do it now? What's the reasoning? If it's never really been, why would I want it now?
Well, if your team has 60% of the money of the big dogs, you'd love to see a level playing field. That'd be the motivation for some people.
But it's never going to be level because it doesn't matter. Just say for instance it is. You're going to go to Ohio State or you're going to go to Chico State if you're an NFL guy. And suppose both have the same amount of money.
You're going to go to Ohio State.
Yeah.
Right. Even if they get a salary cap on players, and I got to say that is hard to see that happening. Several things that have to happen. Players have to be declared employees. I think everybody's known that for at least 5 years, and nobody is even talking about it, let alone moving towards it. But even if that happened, Ohio State would just go back to what they used to have. They have an advantage. They pay the best coaches. They have an advantage because they have the best facilities. They have an advantage because they travel in style. I mean, they'll find another place to get an advantage.
Well,
they got all the history and tradition.
They don't have to find it. It's already at their front door. All they got to do is open the door, knock, and the blessings will flow unto you. Plus, too, it's not really talked about, but and this is something that has been out there as it should, that you could get set up if you're not a pro player a lot better in Columbus in that area than you could other places. And so it's to the old thing, you're not making a four-year decision, you're making a 40-year decision. So it's never going to be even. The teams that have the shot to win it all, they're the same teams. And, yeah, Indiana got in there. Good for them. And that's why we remember it so much, besides the fact that it was this season, because it is the exception. And if it were passed around, it would not be near the big deal that it is.
Chris, I would think Michigan would be up there. I'm with you, Chris. I think Michigan would be up there, too.
Right.
Jared, is Kyle still whining?
No.
I don't think he's whining. I think he's been out there doing interviews, which he's kind of got to introduce himself around the state.
He's put himself out there, yeah.
Yeah, plus he's a national story, so national, not just mid-local, but national people want to talk to him too.
100%.
And I suspect that's just a question he got asked, so he gave him an answer.
No, actually, you could argue that he was whining when he was with the Utes because they were never going to be able to be at the top. Well, Michigan can be at the top, so he's just stating matter of fact.
Yep.
And that's the way that it's going to be, and he has the insight and the expertise to voice his opinion on this. I don't think he was voicing a negative opinion or an alarmist opinion. He's just telling it like it is. This is where we're going, people.
Yeah.
And unless there are some guardrails. I don't think he's screaming from the mountaintop, we got to have guardrails. He's just saying, unless there are some rules and some, not necessarily limitations, but some type of management that is across the board, this is what we're going to have.
It's easy to see how he would have gotten that question in an interview, because if he had stayed here, if circumstances were different, he would have gotten that question here. One of those Monday press conferences or after practice one day, somebody would have said, where's this going? How much money are you going to have to spend next year?
Yeah, he's been talking about it.
$50 million. Yeah.
Well, he talked about it's going up 15, 20% every year.
Yeah. Aaron says Kyle's got 2 years to make it work. With that amount of money, they're going to want to see quick results.
Well, that's a fact. Man, it's two different stories, but yeah.
Yeah.
They're going to want to see results this fall.
Yeah. Well, you can look at Michigan football. The last guy got 2 years.
Yeah, but there
were other factors.
That was significantly other factors.
But you can look around football and find coaches getting fired after 2 or 3 bad years. It's not surprising.
Well, even less. But that's you really got to hit bottom.
Yeah.
The running back who coached
UCLA.
Yeah.
That was a very quick decision at UCLA.
Yeah. Those things can happen. That's not news. If that were to come to that, he already knows that. You're expected to win. It's kind of, in a sense, it's kind of gross that you got guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who care that much about the result of a college football game that they're willing to pour in that amount of money. That just seems out of whack.
And David is right there with you. College athletics are going to price a lot of us out. It's going to become like pro sports and be mainly corporate if it isn't already.
Well, why does it price you out? This is not true. Why would it price you out?
Because he used to have the money to afford the tickets, and they keep going up, and at some point he can't afford them anymore.
Then watch it on television.
Yeah.
Far more people watch it on television than go to the games.
But there are people who desperately want to go to their favorite team's games in person.
Yeah, but they don't matter.
I know, and he's lamenting that. He knows it too. He can see it coming.
The price of a television and some type of subscription service. Now, that could price people out from there. But the fact is, if you're being priced out of that, you probably don't have the money to buy what the advertisers are selling you anyway. So the reality is they don't care about you.
They do not. I think that's why that story we had earlier about the NFL TV schedule being announced, or the NFL schedule being announced a week late because they're working on a TV deal. Well, they're working on a streaming deal for more money. And you're right. The people who are going to pay for that, if you can't afford Amazon or Netflix or whoever else ends up buying this, they don't care.
They're not targeting you and their products anyway. And if Bob gets priced out, but Joe then gets priced in, well, you're even.
I have literally heard that from somebody who prices tickets.
When? As recently as yesterday?
Nope.
Oh, dang it.
Probably 2 or 3 years ago.
As recently as 2 or 3 years ago. Okay, got it.
If someone cancels their season tickets, they'd rather sell 2 half-season ticket plans because they sell them for about 60% of the 50% of the games for 60% of the money. And
I understand what you're saying. So you get 120% instead of 100. Well, right. Yeah, whatever you have to do to be creative to sell your product. But right. I mean that the fans are always going to be there. That I am done with. Well, fans are going to check out.
Because we've been told a lot of times fans are going to check out, and we're old enough, we've sat around and watched it, and guess what? They haven't checked out.
No.
If anything, people are checking into sports more than ever. Sports is having a bigger moment than more than ever. There's more teams in more leagues, drawing more eyeballs, having more games televised. You were just talking about what it was like when we were both teenagers and in our 20s. There's way more sports available. This is the golden era. Now, you got to pay for a lot of it, but there's still a lot of stuff over the air for free. I mean, every weekend the networks are committed to it, and now Friday, Saturday, and Sunday nights, which when we were kids, that wasn't happening. Prime time.
Well, you got to pay for it unless you go to a sports bar and watch it. I mean, who was it? Indiana. Was it Indiana and Oregon? Did they play in a semifinal this year? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was a Friday night, and I'm down in Phoenix, and I'm like 2 miles from ASU, and it's just this place that I've gone to many times over the years, and so we went there because we were coming from the other side of the valley and meeting the infamous Jill, who was coming from the east side, and so we were
infamous Jill.
We were meeting there, and it was essentially located.
Nobody wants to cook dinner. Let's go eat and watch the game.
And the place was packed.
Yeah,
literally packed. People are screaming and yelling, and this is no local connection here. But my guess is most of the folks there, if they were any form of connected to Arizona sports, were rooting for Indiana because nobody wants to see Oregon win.
Well, and there's a lot of Big Ten alumni who've moved to Arizona. All those snowbirds, they don't come from just Chicago. And even so, they may have come from Chicago, but 10 years before that, 20 years before that, they were at Indiana.
And the joke was, understated or unspoken, was, well, we're not going to root for Oregon because they got Phil Knight, who paid for all this.
Right.
Well, Big Doug Indiana sitting over there, Little Sisters of the Poor when it comes to money.
They got Mark Cuban, right?
I know. Isn't that a joke?
Everybody's got somebody writing checks, but Phil's been out there longer and is easier to loathe.
Right, and he's a huge name.
Right.
And he has been out there for 30 years.
And he's a very visible presence at games.
Right. Right. And
I mean, he's actually a little mini rock star. He shows up on social media games. It's not his account. I mean, he's walking into the game. Now, granted, he's going to walk in, he's going to go to a luxury suite, and he's going to put on headsets and listen to the offensive coordinator call the plays. But nonetheless, he's just walking outside the stadium, and you'll see it. People take photos of him, and they'll go viral on social media.
Yeah,
Phil's at the game. Well, of course he
88
is.
years old now.
Why wouldn't he
but
be?
But it's like Phil Knight is just another guy now. He was just at the forerunner of what is commonplace. So I'm no longer going to crack on Phil Knight in Oregon. Not necessarily going to root for him.
Texas Tech
but the list goes on and on.
Oregon is just basically a hooker.
Quoted in ESPN.
Right.
Yeah.
Oregon now is just another bankrolled football program. And good for them. There was a thing when the Michigan job was being out there, and Dillingham's name was being mentioned, and so it's like they got together for bowl practice. So that was the first time that Dillingham's been able to stand in front of the media, and at that point I don't know if the job was offered or whatever. I don't remember all the details, but he was clear he was staying, right? And he said, "Now here's what we need to do. We need to get somebody in the Valley or wherever who is going to give us $20 million. And then I'm going to make that guy the most famous person in the Phoenix area."
We got half of it.
And so this past week, they got a guy who, big booster dude with big money, endowed the coaching position for $10 million. And now this guy is going to get a level of fame.
Yep.
And this guy comes out and says, it's about time that we get behind Sun Devil football and the rallying and the strong young man that he can develop. And, I thought they should have started playing Onward Christian Soldiers or something. I mean, it just, wow, this is something that's just going to benefit us all. And I'm thinking, come on. But what the heck? It's, he's halfway there. And it sets up an endowment that goes on for, I guess, I don't know, forever, how much those guys make. Yeah, some guy named Sweaty, Swette is his name. And he and his wife have established the Sweaty family endowed football coach position. Good for them. Way to go. Somebody wants to do that? What the heck? Now, this guy has donated millions before, but it's been to the academics. Well, who the crap cares about the academics?
Nobody knew who he was.
I was like,
Thanks for getting, being the chair of the biology department or whatever, but yeah.
They have a Center for Environmental Biotechnology and Sustainable Food Systems. And the university's academic status has risen a lot in recent years.
Oh, yeah. I think it's totally I think it's under discussed. Maybe they talk about it then there. But if the Big Ten expands and wants more teams in the West, their academics are way better. In 40 years, leaps and bounds. Aren't they AAU now?
Yeah.
That American Association of Universities? And with all the Big Ten alumni down there, why would the Big Ten not want ASU? That seems to me like an obvious move by the Big Ten.
So good for him now and good for all the fans. Now he's given money to endow the football coach position because Dillingham just turned 36 the other day, and I think they might be a sleeper from what guys are telling me from down there. They might be a sleeper, not in the way they were 2 years ago. That's the ultimate sleeper. But they might be a sleeper in terms of being a little bit
underappreciated,
respected right now. Because, with the Levitt kid leaving and all that stuff. So we'll have to see. And then if they are, then we're going to go through it again. If he rolls out a 10-2 season next December, it's going to be the same stuff all over again with is he going to leave?
Well, they were 6-3 in conference last year, even with the problems they had. It's not like they fell off the map. I mean, they didn't win it like they did the year before, but they were good.
Right. They're okay, yeah.
All right, DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Coming up next, Brian Geltzeiler on the NBA playoffs, the draft lottery. What should the Jazz do going forward? Stay with us.
Welcome to This is Jay Scott and Ben Anderson.
He's the head coach of the Utah Mammoth, Andre Torney.
There was a lot of conversation before this matchup with, the experience John Tortorella had. He's won the Cup as a head coach before, and that potentially being an advantage. Is hockey, or is there a major difference at this level?
He is one of the guys who won the most game in the NHL. He's, like you mentioned, has a ton of experience. He won Stanley Cups, but there's nothing I can do about that. What you want me to do about that? Logan Cooley never played a playoff game, so what schools can do about it? Cannot do anything. You just have to go out there and play his game. So it's the same thing for the Bear. The Bear has just to do his job. I'm fortunate because I have an unbelievable staff. We have 5 Stanley Cup on our coaching staff, but at the end of the day, I just have to do my job the best I can, and the rest, there's nothing I can do. I have to make sure I give the tools for our player to be able to perform, and the rest, stay out of the way and let them play. Let them be the star of the show.
Catch Jake and Ben afternoons from 2 to 6 on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Make game day yours. Tickets, food and drinks, stats, and streaming. Everything you need is in the Utah Mammoth app. Download today and make game night easy. Download on both Android and iPhone. Tusk Top.
DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. We are joined now by Brian Geltzeiler. You see him on NBAtv, hear him on SiriusXM NBA Radio. Brian, welcome back to the show.
Hi, guys. My pleasure. How we doing?
We are doing well. I suspect you are doing better. The Springsteen music there. You and PK both have the Jersey thing going. Northern Jersey guys, not Southern
North Jersey, not there, Northern, just North.
Philly, North Jersey.
Taylor ham instead of pork roll, right?
Yeah, there it is.
The hell is pork roll? It's Taylor ham.
Oh, South Jersey people. Hey, I finally figured out, is your brother Barry?
He is.
I finally figured, I got... my relatives, my father had 9 siblings and my mother had 10, right? Big Italian family.
Oh, wow.
On my mother's side in West Orange. I finally figured out there's got to be some relationship. So I was bored one day and I started getting on Facebook, blah, blah, blah. And my cousin's son follows your brother. So we do have a connection.
We have a connection there. Well, I don't. So it's one of those things where I wonder, listen, my brother's wonderful and we're very, very close, but he is quite the opinionated fellow on social media about certain things. So there's part of me is wondering, do I apologize for him? Do I hide my head? Or do I just wear it all with pride? And I think I'm going to take the latter and wear it all with pride. He is who he is. I love him for who he is. And but my brother is, to say the least, is a very, very interesting social media character.
Oh, no, I didn't see any of that. I was just going through the names. names and I saw Geltzeiler and Barry and you're Brian, I had to figure, well, that's an obvious connection there.
That is one of what my parents did to us, PK, which is the most embarrassing thing in the world. So my parents were Bert and Barbara, so they made the decision to name all of us with B's. So my oldest brother is Bruce. And then there's my brother Barry, and then there's me as Brian. And my mother used to drive around in a white Cadillac with 5 B's on the license plate. Like, you can't hide, okay? And my mother, who, God bless her, 94 years old, still going strong, okay, was never the best driver in the world. So, like, she cut somebody off not paying attention, and everybody always knew who it was. We never skated on that stuff, boys.
Nice.
I'm curious, given where you are from and given the fact that the Rangers, the Devils, and the Islanders all missed the NHL playoffs this year, and then the Sixers knock out the Celtics and get the Knicks, and the Knicks blow them out in Game 1. I'm thinking the NBA right now is front and center in that part of the world like few times the last, I don't know, few decades. It's got to be the biggest thing, what everybody's talking about right now. Am I right?
Listen, everybody could be great right now. The Rangers could be great. Okay, the Devils could be great. The Islanders could be great. They all could be great right now. Okay, but the thing is, all right, if the Knicks are doing this, none of it even matters. Okay, listen, Yankees are playing great. Granted, it's May. Okay, Mets are terrible. Everybody could be great, and when the Knicks are doing this, they are the biggest thing. So it's the fact that no one else is doing anything here, and it's just the Knicks, only enhances it more. The Knicks are the most popular team in the area. They have a national following. They have the most celebrity fans, whether it's Hollywood, entertainment, sports, media. This is the Knicks, and right now they're hot as a pistol. Listen, last night's game, it's a very important understanding of last night's blowout, which was different than the Game 6 blowout of Atlanta, in the respect that Philly was gassed last night. Yeah. You look at the minutes, okay, that Philly's guys played on Sunday or Saturday night in that Game 7. Okay, just to give you a little bit of flavor there, all right, Paul George, 41. Joel Embiid, 39. Maxey, 45. Edgecombe, 43. Okay, in an emotional game that came down the stretch and they had to finish it in the last 2 minutes, I mean, is it really that surprising that they come to the Garden 48 hours later and look gassed? They were gassed last night. And the Knicks took full advantage of all of it. Nick Nurse has got to make some defensive adjustments regarding Embiid. Embiid got attacked very, very badly by the Knicks last night. They put him in every action. He was playing drop coverage with plays into all of Jalen Brunson's strengths, and Brunson had all the space he wanted to operate. That's got to be an adjustment that gets made. But Philly, listen, Maxey's a brutal matchup for the Knicks. He's such a hard matchup. He was not a brutal matchup last night, mostly because he didn't have his legs. He just didn't have the burst you normally see him have. But I would think that Philadelphia is going to come out more rested. There's no travel now. Not that it's a big travel series up and down the turnpike here, but Philly gets to kind of rest up in New York today, get a good night's sleep tonight and come out tomorrow, kind of different tact, different attitude, and see how they do. There was definitely a hangover from Game 7 in the Boston series.
I don't think there's any question of that. And we see that from time to time in the NBA playoffs. Remember the Jazz had one when they played Seattle that they came off a tough series. I don't remember what it was, but I know they had to go over there in less than 48 hours and play. And plus they were an older team, and they got worked. Basically had to give them a game. So we'll see what happens there. As far as just the general perspective from the East, what level of confidence do you have that anybody from the East has a chance, if they get an advance out of the East, to be able to compete with? I would think it would be Oklahoma City. We'll see how it plays out there.
Well, all right, so it depends. With Oklahoma City, it depends on one thing, and I don't think it's going to matter in this round just because – if we do see Luka Doncic play in the series, it will be towards the latter half of the series. But I think for OKC, they can get out of the West without Jalen Williams. If they face the Knicks in the finals, they're going to need Jalen Williams because they're going to need that second high-end scoring wing that you could run offense through to make the Knicks occupy another defender. And I think that's very, very important in that series. I think if it's San Antonio, and again, San Antonio gets knocked off by Minnesota last night, and Minnesota has got as much fight in them as any team you'll see here in the NBA. I think San Antonio, the matchup for the Knicks is a very, very tough matchup for them. I think the Knicks could absolutely beat San Antonio. But I think for OKC, fully healthy, I don't know that there's anybody in the East that could really push them. With all that said, we felt that way last year about the Indiana Pacers going into play OKC in an NBA final, and they took them to 7 games, and they were right there in the game at halftime of Game 7. So you kind of never know what shakes out here. But I think the Knicks look great right now. With all that said, OKC all hands on deck. It's outside of San Antonio. It's very hard to see any team in the league right now beat them in a 7-game series.
Did Minnesota mostly ride playoff experience? The fact they've been in Western Conference Finals and the Spurs are where they are for the first time. It's a 2-point game in San Antonio. There was a lot going on in that game. We've been hearing a lot about playoff experience because Vegas just used it to beat the Mammoth. We were told it was going to happen, and then it did. Should I think the same thing about that Minnesota-San Antonio series, or do you see, hey, that's one game and there'll be other storylines that matter as we go forward?
Minnesota is a very interesting case here because this was the team on several occasions over the course of the season looked like from a chemistry standpoint they were ready to crumble. And maybe no bigger event for them during the regular season was the 4 to 6 weeks that Julius Randle played sulking because his name was thrown into Giannis trade rumors. And, Randle, who wasn't necessarily thrilled being traded out of New York, but has adjusted to Minnesota, loves this team, loves his teammates, loves the city. And Julius is, he wears his feelings on his sleeve. That's who the guy is. And he does it in a way that can affect the rest of the team. But at some point here, and I credit Jade McDaniels, they all pulled it together because McDaniels became as much as Anthony Edwards is the face of that team and their best player and all that, McDaniels became the public-facing symbol of this: we are tough, we are brash, and we think we can beat anybody at any point in time, and we're going to not only talk the talk, we're going to walk the walk. And so when Anthony Edwards went out, McDaniels was able to step into a role that he had never stepped into before, and boy, was he good at it. And so you kind of look at that swagger across the board. Then you get a situation last night. And, guys, I can't emphasize how important this is to a team like Minnesota, where Anthony Edwards was coming back and he's on a minutes limit. The best way for a coach to manage a minutes limit with a player like Anthony Edwards is to bring him off the bench. Because it gives you more options later in the game on how you want to massage those minutes and where you want to play them. To have a guy of Anthony Edwards' caliber, an all-NBA guy, a guy that's been an MVP candidate in the past, be like, oh, yeah, dude, I'm in. I'm cool coming off the bench. That sends a message up and down this roster about the we, and that the we is more important than the me, and I don't need my ego massage. We're all here with the same goal. And I think for Minnesota, there is a togetherness that has happened. And listen, last year, what was that togetherness that drove them to the conference finals? That togetherness had everything to do with the fact, as fractured as they were, they all loved Joe Ingles, and Joe Ingles got a start in front of his autistic son, who had never seen him play on an NBA floor last year, and it galvanized this group. This year, it's been McDaniels brash talking, but now Anthony Edwards coming off the bench last night and doing it willingly and playing really well and really spirited basketball. They're all about the we right now, and they are so dangerous when they're that because they have a bunch of really good parts that fit. The other thing that's been an enormous factor for them in the last couple of games is the buy-in of Terrence Shannon. Terrence Shannon Jr. He's a very talented player. He's a very athletic player, a guy that I think was underdrafted and being taken in the 20s. But part of the problem with him was that he wanted to do his own thing on the floor and didn't necessarily buy into the offensive scheme, broke off plays too much. And Chris Finch last week was very matter-of-fact about that publicly. All of a sudden, you're getting Shannon's buy-in, and I love Dante DiVincenzo. With Shannon playing like this, they don't even really miss him. And that's the crazy part. They did this last night with Ayo Dosunmu, who, remember, won them a game in the Denver series, scoring 43 points. Minnesota's got this next man up mentality that's very, very hard to replicate. And they got athletes, and they got guys that got a lot of dog in them. And they're going to be very, very tough out for anybody in these playoffs.
How much stock do you put in guys who put up decent or very good numbers on teams that don't win and are basically losing teams? And where I'm going with this specifically is Markkanen and Keontae George.
So I think you have to look at every player individually when you're looking at that thesis, so to speak. And I say it in this way. I have no doubt in my mind that Larry Markkinen can and will be at some point a very productive player on a winning team. All of those abilities are right in there for him. And I think he can do that, and I think he can do that relatively easily. I really do. I worry a little bit about George because of the ball dominance, frankly. I really do. I think that the ball dominance of Keyonte George makes it that if you do have other players around you, are you going to be willing to give it up? Or in late game situations, are you going to be willing to pass the ball to find the guy for the right play? I mean, listen, I go back to Game 6 of the Toronto Raptors series against the Cavs. Scotty Barnes made a decision late in that game when they needed a shot. And Scotty Barnes is clearly the best player on that team, but he passed the ball to R.J. Barrett for an open shot. Could you see Keyonte George doing something like that in a big spot? At this stage of his career, probably not. And so when you go to those two players, it completely depends upon the individual player. Do you play well with others? That is the big answer, because if you do play well with others, even if you're on a bad team and you can put up numbers, if you're a guy that plays well with others, you can be a solution and a major piece on a winning team. I do think Markkinen plays well with others. I worry a little bit about Keyonte George. And I'll say this, he's a young player, and I think he's got a lot of potential. But I think in some ways, depending upon how this team shakes out next year, there's going to be moments where Collier's the better fit with the ball in his hands because of how much more willingly he moves the ball and sets guys up, because between Markkinen and Jaren Jackson and Ace Bailey, there's other shot makers on this team outside of Keyonte George. He's going to have to, his big challenge going into next year is, how do I use those pieces around me for the greater good of the overall team? And I think that's something that Will Hardy's going to have to work with him on, but I do think of what we've seen so far, that may be a little bit of a challenge.
Of the many big decisions the Jazz have this summer, what kind of contract does Walker Kessler get, and what kind of contract will Walker Kessler agree to? And we've had multiple people tell us, in this era, you got to be very careful about giving a guy an extra, $5, $8, $10 million to make him happy, because you will paint yourself into a corner financially. And I'm curious if you think Markkinen and Jaren Jackson Jr., as good as they are, I'm not here to debate they're good, but are they $50 million worth of good? Because on average, that's about what they're going to make over the next 3 years. A little less next year, a little more further down the line. Are they 35, 40, or $45 million players, and they got a little much, and the Jazz are going to be painted in a corner financially? What do you think?
So let's look at the second half of the question first. The reason the Jazz were able to get Jaren Jackson for some mid to low tier first round draft capital was because of the contract. That's because they're willing to pay him. So that kind of answers your question right there. Is Markkinen overpaid? He is. And Markkinen's overpaid, because if the Jazz went to trade him right now, they'd be eminently disappointed at the offers, not because of the player Larry Markkinen is, but because of the contract. So now let's get to Kessler. Here's the conundrum the Jazz have with Kessler. If you let him go out into the open market and dictate his value, it only takes one dumb team to turn around and offer him 4 years at $140 million. That's all it does. One dumb team. And all of a sudden, you're stuck now with a front line that you're paying $135, $140 million to. And because if you want to keep him, or you let him go, and now all of a sudden you're playing smaller, you have a voided center. We're trying to figure it out with Kyle Filipowski or bringing Nurkic back on a small deal. And maybe that is the answer. Who knows? But I don't know, because the other thing with Kessler is this. Hasn't been available all that much. I don't know that you want to get committed there. And I think for the Jazz here, listen, they had opportunities to trade Walker Kessler and get a first-round pick at least. I mean, I know they wanted 2 to 3, and that wasn't necessarily given to them. But I don't think you can go backwards and say, because we turned down a meaningful trade proposals for him in the past, that we're going to overpay him now. That was also before you had Jaren Jackson in the fold. And so you have to make the best next decision going forward, even if you look back on some of these Kessler decisions and say, well, we probably should have done that, but we didn't know we were going to get Jaren Jackson. We chose not to do that. With all that said, I think the roll of the dice is to turn around and let Kessler go find his own market. Now, there's dangers in that. Obviously, the one dumb team danger. And at that point, you could try to negotiate a sign and trade if you can. So there's that part of it. The second part of it is, if you do end up deciding to match him at a lesser number than what he thinks he's worth, because that was out there in the open market, now you get the Gordon Hayward situation. which is he comes back, he signs the contract, but he's pissed. And he knows when this contract's up, there's no way he's staying. And so that's, you don't want to put yourself in a spot like that where you alienate a guy that you value. And that's the hard part. With all that said, I think in this second apron era, you worry about smoothing hard feelings later and you do what's fiscally responsible. So I think in the end, it's a long-winded way of saying, let Kessler go find his market. And if he finds his market and you decide the number's too rich, you got to say goodbye and move forward with what you have.
We will leave it right there. We appreciate it as always. Enjoy all the chaos that comes with the Knicks and the Sixers.
It's good. Listen, it's going to be a blast, and I can promise you this, guys. Okay, it ain't going to be a 39-point deficit tomorrow night in Game 2. That I promise you. Sixers are going to bring it and bring it hard. It's going to be a very fun series.
All right. He's Brian Geltzeiler. You hear him on SiriusXM NBA Radio. You see him on NBAtv, and he joins us here periodically to talk NBA basketball. DJ and PK, it's 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Stay with us right here on The Zone.
3, 2, 1. This is Scotty G and Coach Tim LeComb.
Joining us now, he is the owner of the Utah Jazz and the Utah Mammoth. Ryan, we can't thank you enough for hopping on with us.
My goal is to bring a championship to Utah, and we haven't had one. I want to hang a banner, and if it means that we have to do stuff a little harder, okay. But we're not going to tiptoe in to go beat San Antonio and OKC. Like, we're not going to tiptoe in. Like, we're going to have to do it the right way and build the right way. That's going to be what it's going to take, and you never know. But I just try to put the smartest people around, and I just feel like we're super lucky that we got this group. I'll just be honest, if they agree on things, I'm probably not going to stand in the way on anything that they come to, and that's typically how you want it. We've got really, really smart people here who also have that level of expectation, but all this is talk. We got to go do it.
Catch Scotty G and Coach weekdays from 10 to 2, presented by Mountain Land Supply on 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
Hey there, it's Wayfair here, where delivery and setup are as easy as a few taps on your phone. You're relaxing in an old hammock, scrolling Wayfair's app, when you spot it, a brand new patio set. Next thing you know, Wayfair delivers it right to your patio and sets it up. Oh, you need a new grill too? All right, Wayfair's got you covered. With Wayfair's Room of Choice delivery and fast expert setup on qualifying orders, life gets a little easier. Visit wayfair.com or the Wayfair app.
Wayfair, every style, every home.
Welcome back in. Joining us now is Utah Royals star. I call her star because she's a local star. Brecken Mozingo. Brecken, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing so good. How are you guys?
We're doing well, and it looks like taking the league by storm. Is that a fair assessment? Surprise? I just read something on that very thing.
I would say so, yes. Yes.
You've been with the team for a while, and it has been a struggle. And that's not really how your career went from Alta High School to BYU. Well, brief stop at UCLA for a year, and then BYU. There was a lot of winning going on. How hard was it to push through a losing season and another losing season and get to this point where you've won 4 in a row and you're rolling?
I mean, it's taken a lot. I think mentally, physically, all that. I think from all different sides and perspectives, from the players, from the coaches, ownership, even the fans. Like, we have experienced a lot together, and thankfully, in this year 3, things have started to roll in our favor, and that's just a testament, though, to everything that we've done the past 2 years. So it's kind of like, okay, thank goodness, about time. But obviously, we still have a whole season ahead of us. I was looking at the schedule the other day, and we've only gotten through like 8 games, and we have a whole nother 20-something games to get through. So it is too early to tell, but we are really, really liking the direction that we're heading.
Go back 10 years. You're 25, and if I do my math, 10 years ago, you'd be 15, and you're starting to make your mark at the high school level. What did you envision as far as where soccer could take you, and did you ever imagine you'd be playing for what amounts to your local team?
I honestly had no idea. I am honestly still living out a God-given blessing each day that I'm on contract here with the Utah Royals. But yeah, when I was 15 and little Brecken at that time she definitely just had her eyes set on college and making sure that she made her mark in college. And then once she got to being able to potentially look at playing pro, then she would get there. But I don't think pro was even in my radar when I was 15.
And now you're playing professionally less than 4 miles from where you played in high school. Do the rest of the players, some of whom traveled halfway around the world, like you, and think, no way. There's no way this is happening.
I know. No, it's crazy. Seriously, each day I'm very, very grateful.
How much did college prepare you for it then?
College was awesome. Definitely interesting. Jen Rockwood, my girl, she's amazing, and she definitely had her ways in terms of prepping a team, making sure they're ready for a outstanding season. She was very, very successful in what she did. In terms of some of the other, even just tracking what we did at practice in terms of meters and how fast we would run, she didn't really go too deep into that. She was more so just okay, if you can ball, you can ball, and you're going to be out on the field. So that's been one interesting thing in the pros, is just getting used to the stats and the numbers behind things and all of that stuff. It's a lot more science-based, where it's an equation and all that stuff, which is a little bit takes me off, but I love it, and I've grown accustomed to it, this being year 3. And college was awesome. Loved my teammates. My teammates got me ready. Coaches got me ready by giving me some minutes, which, again, I'm still grateful for to this day, that I was able to get the minutes I did in college. But, yeah, it was a great experience. Got me ready.
Brecken Mozingo joining us, Utah Royals. What has been the difference? Why are you winning now when it was such a struggle for so long? What's happened?
I think it was just a mental block, I think, in front of us. I think now the chemistry that we've had, majority of our starters are returning from last year. I think there was 1 or 2 positions that were kind of open for a new player that we maybe picked up or whatever, and it has really just come unfolded. These girls and these players know how to play together, and they're very successful at what we do, and we're kind of learning each other's strengths, and we know what each other is good at to make sure that we utilize that in the game. So I think that's a big thing, is just us building on each other's strengths and building that chemistry, and just overall realizing what type of team and culture we want to have for the rest of the year and for the rest of the venture for the Utah Royals being here in Utah.
Well, Brecken, thanks for taking a couple of minutes to join us. Congrats on the win streak, and good luck trying to keep it rolling. And as you say, 20-plus games to go.
Oh, thank you so much, guys. Thanks for the time.
Brecken Mozingo, Utah Royals forward, former BYU Cougar and Alta Hawk, and the Utah Royals face the Houston Dash tomorrow night at 8 o'clock at America First Field. We have a 4-pack of suite tickets to watch the Royals in that game with the Dash. You want to sit in a luxury suite, watch the game, be caller 12 right now, 801-575-ZONE. 801-575-ZONE. Yak is waiting to give those luxury suite tickets away right now. DJ and PK, when we come back, John Neighbors joins us, owner of Inside Arkansas, host of Locked On Razorbacks. He's coming up next. Stay with us.